Hi folks, I have a recording of our current Sunday class for you. So it is the 11th of March 2021 today. It's nice to do a class where you are pretty much supported all the way through. So this class is completely on the ground. It is very grounding as a result. By the end of it, certainly every time I do it, and I've relied quite heavily on this practice for the last 4 weeks or so, it does take away excess stress, or at least that's how I've found it, the way I've approached it. And the general vibe in class has been that. So it's very accessible. As with all the classes, all you need to do is work within your capability on the day. So if something's not working for you, or you just find it uncomfortable or unpleasant, you can leave it out. And I've started to really emphasize to people that there's no real reason to feel like just because you've started an hour-long yoga class or an hour-and-a-half yoga class, that you have to pack every single second of that hour with movement or activity. Stillness is as much a part of the practice, and being able to pick your own moments for stillness is one of the main skills that I try to teach. So as we go through, see how you feel. Some of these moves are a bit weird. They're fun. They're not just weird. I'm going to layer up some opportunities for people who like the bendier options, but not huge amounts. So don't go into autopilot. If you find yourself in a posture that works for you and you suddenly try to tie yourself in a knot, you might just break the bliss or the whatever it is you're experiencing in the posture that you enjoyed. It's a video. You can come back and try something different later. I think that the chunks of this class can actually be done quite safely separately. You might have to take some things a little bit more gently, but I will put the time codes for the different chunks in the description so that you can skip ahead if you want to. What else do you need? Okay, so I've got 2 mats. I've got a slightly softer mat, which is my green one. Not, normal people don't need more than 1 mat. If you like to have a softer surface to lie on, because we're going to be on the floor pretty much the whole time, grab a blanket that you can put down, or a towel will do. Just, you can soften the surface of your mat by doing that. You need to be warm enough, because it's not really a warming class, but it does benefit from being a little bit warmer. So socks, as many jumpers as you can stuff over your head, never a bad idea. You can peel them off as you go. We won't need to take socks off unless you decide to do the one and only downward facing dog at the end of the class. There might be another one in the middle, but it's completely optional. So you need to be warm enough, and also a cushion. Oh, see, my weather girl act is not that good. Cushion, right there. Something to sit on, because we've got quite a long seated section, and I know people like to get very sort of, oh no, I don't need a cushion, I love sitting on the floor. Well, it just gets tiring and might just make life easy for yourself. If you sit on a cushion, you will have good spinal integrity, your abdominal muscles will not start to fatigue, and everything just feels really, really nice. And the purpose of the seated work today is not to challenge your ability to sit on the floor. It's in order to get some really good deep stretches into the side of the body and the front of the body. So you need to have something to sit on, either a cushion, a wedge, or a block, or just a great big dictionary. Does anybody have dictionaries anymore? It's just something that you can sit on that will bear weight. And a strap or equivalent, belt, tie, non-stretchy scarf, just anything that will work like a strap. And that's for a little bit of shoulder releasing. Might not need it, but most people do. And just keep a blanket nearby, because it's just always nice to have a blanket nearby, isn't it? You might fancy just wrapping yourself up for a bit. Feels good, feels nice. Yeah, so let's make a start. We're going to start with an embodiment practice, quite a gentle embodiment practice. If you're feeling anxious, or if you're in recovery for something that affected you physically, you may want to skip it and just do some breathing. Possibly If you're feeling depressed, you might want to avoid embodiment. It does vary with depression. Stress, what I'd suggest is ease your way in safely, and if anything starts to feel wrong, uncomfortable, stressful, let it go. Just step away, go towards the breath, maybe even just get up, skip towards the movement. That's fine. A lot of de-stressing happens in the movements that we're doing today. So if you're not feeling like lying still, that is assuming that you made it through all this talk, then don't bother. Check the time codes, go towards the movement. Lovely. So let's just settle in. Just be comfortable. Doesn't matter whether you're lying on the floor, sitting on a chair, lying in bed, sitting on a sofa, just be comfortable for an embodiment practice. Take your time, take a moment to find your comfortable position and give yourself permission to change that position at any time. And once you're there, just let the breath settle into its natural rhythm. Start by drawing the attention towards the back of the body and becoming aware of the back of the body in contact with whatever you're resting against. Very intuitively and lightly, following the waves and the curves at the back of your body and how they connect and move away from the surface that you're on. Following that journey. Perhaps taking a little interest in that journey. If you happen to find any particular sensations as you work your way through those waves and curves, ground, the shapes as the body waves away from the ground, you can just pause if you wish to, and with a real sense of openness, of kindness and curiosity, just perhaps explore those sensations. And perhaps allow yourself to be open to really comfortable, easy, free sensations, as well as any particular tension or tightness or equivalent. We do tend to bias our curiosity towards discomfort. So keep an eye open for comfort, for neutrality, for freedom, for flow. It might not be there, but you might be surprised. And if you find that you are very comfortable with the back of the body, you can stay here. And really, especially if you're lying on the ground, really explore that space between the ground and the body. That space where you're not quite sure where the body ends and the ground begins. If you want to continue the journey to the front of the body, then you just shift your focus and start intuitively traveling your attention along the waves and the curves along the front of the body and their connection to the space around you, the air, the space that you take up, and just being very, very gentle with this process. Again, if you're not sure where to start, if there's no intuitive place to take your attention, always start near the feet. And you are following that journey, the waves of the body, you're following that journey from the inside. So how it feels, how the body feels from the inside as you follow all those shapes that the body makes in space. And from the front of the body, if it's possible for you, look for softness. See if you can cultivate just a tiny bit more softness. Allow the belly to be soft. Allow the waist to be soft, the thighs. See if you can let the shoulders and the collarbone relax. Face. But don't try to change or assess anything. Just follow that journey with openness, curiosity, kindness. Anytime you find anything that is jarring or uncomfortable, or maybe it's part of the body that you don't want to connect with, then don't. Just step away, move away. For the last moment with the front of the body, if you're there, you could try the feeling of making the front of the body so light, so soft, that you feel like a pile of candy floss, just wisping into the air. A soft feeling at the front of the body. You just don't know where the body ends and the air begins. Maybe part of your body will allow you to feel that way, that softness. If not, it's okay. You'll have another go at the end of the class. Maybe you'll find it then. So drawing the attention back towards the breath wherever you are now, and just breathing normally and freely. So no control of the breath, just breathing and being aware of that sensation of breathing in whatever way makes sense for you. We're going to work with the breath through movement to start the class today. So making your way into a reclining position on your mat. So we're going to lie down with the knees bent, feet at least hip distance apart and away from the body, probably at least a foot away from the body, maybe a little bit more. Just press into the feet once you're lying down, pick up your hips, gently curl the tailbone under and then put the hips back down, have a little rock. Then take the arms out wide into a T shape. If it feels too tight around the armpits or the chest, you have two options. You can either turn your palms down and see if that helps, or you can bring them closer to the body and turn the palms down and see if that helps. Otherwise, out wide in a T shape. And check that the back of your neck isn't too compressed. So some people do need a cushion at the back of their head. You can put a cushion under your head if you want, or you can just pick up your head, draw the chin inwards and upwards and see if that gives you a sense of length. So we're not flattening out the back of the neck. We just want that curve to be there, but not too compressed. Okay, so we're going to start with wipers, a series of twists to start. Take a lovely breath in, and on an exhale, allow the knees to lower over to the right. So we're not flopping, we're lowering. Inhale to center, exhale and lower to the left. And just keep moving from side to side. Allow the hips to roll, allow the lower back to roll, but try and keep your shoulders down. So the movement is all lower body, from the waist downwards. Some people, when they first start practicing, really struggle with the breath synchronized movements. That is absolutely normal. Just breathe freely. The key is to just breathe. Rule 1 of yoga, breathe. If you're breathing differently, it's fine. Just check in every so often. I will remind you. But with this movement, I do think it's quite nice. You can allow yourself to move at the pace which feels intuitively right for you, and it may not be in sync with the breath, but in this particular case, we are the intention is to move with the breath. So what's happening, just a quick summary of wipers. It's a lower body twist. You are nourishing your hip joints with moving your femur bone around a little bit in the hips. You are massaging out the lower back, some myofascia in the lower back, getting a good range of movement there. And also you've got this nice little spiral line that goes from the waist. So from the base of you, say if your knees were over to the right, from the base of your left rib cage, all the way spiraling across the front of the body to the right thigh. Nice little twist there. Maybe a little bit of a stretch even up to the armpit, a left armpit. So just enjoy it. It's quite soft, it's quite accessible. And if this feels good, just carry on. And you might even want to hold on each side for a few breaths. If you're ready to move up to a slightly tighter twist, you're going to come to center and bend the knees a little bit more tightly. So the knees are together, the feet are closer to the body, and the feet are together. On an exhale, allow the knees to lower over to the right. If it's comfortable, turn your head to the left. First thing to do is to check, A, that you're not in agony. If you are, don't do this. Your knees may be floating in midair, or one of them. You can loosen, excuse me, you can loosen your twist. Someone needs to hoover. You can loosen your twist up by separating the knees a little bit. That can work. Or you could even put a cushion underneath the knees, in between the knees. Just check that your left shoulder is still on the ground as well. So the left shoulder wants to be resting on the ground. Again, if you're in a tight little twist and your left shoulder is up, then you need to loosen off that twist, basically. Breathe here. So this is a held posture. I'm going to rest into it, relax. And if you need something for the mind to do right now, scan through the body and look for those major muscle groups that will not switch off. Thighs, butt cheeks, face. See if you can just let them go. Let them relax. Calves sometimes stay switched on. They're the real heavy lifters of the body. The body just relies on them to keep you moving. So see if you can let go a little at a time here. Breathing the whole time. So check, have you stopped breathing while you're thinking about whether your face is tense? If you have, try breathing again. Makes everything a lot easier. So you can stay here as long as you need to, release that tension, rest into it, especially if you can feel a sense of tension ebbing away, and stay. You can come out in a minute. Otherwise, on an inhale, depending on how deep you've gone, you can inhale and walk your legs round to center, or exhale, pull the belly in and lift the knees. Just take it easy. Sometimes the lower back can get very relaxed. It might not be ready. It might not be ready for you to come back to center. And then over to the other side. So if you need to tighten up, make sure the spine's nice and long. Exhale to take the knees over to the left. And there we go, lovely. Make your adjustments, loosen up, tighten up, whatever you need to do. Release the knees, cushions underneath the knees, all of that stuff. And maybe turn the head. We're just going to rest in the position. Breathe. Take it easy. Scan through. Enjoy the feelings. So when we do these twisting sequences, I like to group them together so the whole body gets wrung out, and call it wringing out, because it's so stress relieving to take a selection of twists. It just really does. Somehow the whole body just gets really nicely softened up. Maybe not everyone agrees. I think that with your twists, if you are feeling very tight and stiff and you're not using any supports because you think that yoga should be hands-free, then perhaps you wouldn't enjoy it. So I always think, if you're going to do this sort of thing, it's worth having your big piles of cushions or any bits and bobs around that will help support your practice. funnily enough, it really does tend to only be the people who've been practicing for years and years and years who are open to that. And really, everybody needs to be open to that from the beginning. When you're ready, exhale, pull the belly in, either lift the knees or walk them round to center. Just be really gentle. You'd be surprised how much the body settles into these postures. The next one, knees to chest. So this next one is a tight little twist. It's mostly for the upper back, and I'm going to layer up a selection of options for people who want a deeper twist that will take it back down into the hips. So you're going to have the option to extend into cat pulling. Cat pulling its own tail is the name of the posture, and I love it, but not everybody will. And also it sounds a bit weird when I describe it. So, and it's hard to see. So if you're not sure, cat pulling its tail, you can Google it and see a picture. Right. Left hand on the floor, out to the side, palm facing upwards. Use the right hand to guide the left thigh across so that both feet, both knees go over to the right. If it's not good for you, don't do this. Just stop. Go and do one of the other ones again. You can take your arms out wide. Again, palms turning upwards. Turn the head to the left if that feels good. Now you're in quite a tight little twist, and this is going to be more about upper body. So we're looking at shoulder, chest, and waist for this one. If you're comfortable here, just stay here and don't stress, don't do anything. If you feel like you want more sensation, there's something extra you would enjoy, you can lengthen out your top leg, which will be your left leg. If even that is not enough and you want more, you can hook your big toe with the fingers of your right hand and maybe even draw that leg up. So you see it looks quite weird on the camera. So you're going to get an IT band stretch if you do that. If this is still not enough and there's more, you can take hold of your right big toe with the fingers of your left hand and draw that right leg across behind you. For the more experienced yogi, it's similar to it's almost like a reclining Lord of the Fishes, but with the top leg extended. So if you love this, you know about it straight away. If you don't love it, you wouldn't have gone this far, to be fair. You wouldn't have got this far. But if you're in this posture now, if you're in cat pulling its tail, you're likely to be experiencing a glute stretch, an IT band stretch, a hip opener, a quad stretch, and a waist, a twist in the waist, as well as maybe a little bit of a chest opener. You can turn your head whichever way you want. I'm a proponent of letting your neck do whatever it feels like doing. Whatever you're doing, just breathe. Most of you will be just in a really gorgeous twist. And so with this one, we do need to be a little careful coming out. If you're in cat pulling its tail, release the top leg first, release the bottom leg, stack the knees again. There you go, your job is done. We're back in our normal twist. Here, you need to be careful. So probably the safest way is to just walk your feet round to center. But if you want that little bit of heat, exhale, pull the navel in, lift the knees back up to center. Be careful. And turn the hands down to anchor yourself. Make sure if you've walked your feet round that your spine is nice and long. Otherwise, you can go straight over to the other side. So right hand out to the side, palm down. Left hand comes to the outside of the right thigh. And on an exhale, pull the navel in and draw the knees over to the left. And this is a beautiful twist. Beautiful. Turn the head to the right. Chill out here. Just really soften, relax. If you want to pull, if you're a cat that wants to pull its tail, these are the layers. So each one of these layers is an independent posture, so you can stay in any one of them. You start by extending that top leg. Remember, it might not work on this side. Extend the top leg. Take hold of the big toe. Take hold of the big toe. Maybe draw that leg up a little bit if you want to, if it suits you. If that's not enough, take hold of your left big toe with your right hand and draw that left hand across. Right left foot across. And just rest. It's quite hard to see without an overhead shot, so you might just need to Google it. There are some pictures of cat pulling its tail. There shouldn't be any pain in the knees. There should be no pain in this posture at all. It's just very, very deep stretch. It's not even as deep as pigeon or something like that. If you can do it, it just feels quite nice. Breathe, relax. Really good stress release for the lower body. Lovely. So, stay as long as you want. If you're in cat pulling its tail, release the top leg first, stack the knees, bring your bottom knee around, and you're back in your twist, and you can walk your feet round to center or exhale, pull the knees back up towards the chest. Just shuffle around if you feel wonky. We need to be careful always coming out of those twists because sometimes you don't know how much you've relaxed. And you need to use your abdominal muscles in order to come out, just in case you don't want to slip a disc in your lower back. It just takes it's just such a terrible injury and it's not worth it. So let's do a little bit of hip opening while we're here. Hands resting lightly on the knees. I'm just going to circle the knees out, maybe 3 times outwards, 3 times inwards, maybe 4. It depends, but don't go into fatigue. So we just want movement. We're not looking for any strong sensation in the hip joint, really. Definitely not fatigue. So really depending on how your hips operate, you may want more, you may want less. One more. And we are going to bring those knees back to center, hands behind the thighs, and draw them out wide. If this is great for you, stay here, have a little rock from side to side. You can be here as long as you want. Wide leg, knees, chest is a gorgeous, gorgeous posture. If you feel like happy baby, if you are a happy baby, you can slide your hands down between your calves, take hold of your big toes and draw those lower legs up towards the ceiling. Soles of the feet pointing up, knees pressing down around the rib cage. Happy baby, rock from side to side. If you're in a comfortable happy baby, then you're gonna, by rocking from side to side, just enjoying it, it's quite soothing, you're going to bring quite nice massage up into your upper back. If you're a miserable baby right now, then you need to go into yoga detention because I think I said you could just stay with your wide leg, knees to chest and that will feel good. So you're not getting, I mean, I'm not going to come to your house and give you some chocolate or anything. If you're a miserable baby, put the feet down. Put the feet down, step away from the feet. Lovely. Let's bring the hands to the outside of the knees wherever you are and gently draw the knees back together. And you can either roll over onto your side or you can just roll all the way back and up into a seated position. And we'll do some nice seated work. And this is where I get needlessly aggressive about grabbing a cushion. So my cushion's got buckwheat in it, which means it works more like a wedge because I don't actually like to sit too high. So if there's anyone here who doesn't like a cushion because of that feeling of being way too elevated, you might want to consider something like buckwheat, that sort of beanbag texture. They're usually called meditation cushions, and you can just make a nice little wedge to sit on, and it works really, really well. So I've been sitting on the floor since I was a child. I've always preferred it, but my anatomy is such that I need a little elevation in order to let my hips open freely. So I'm going to come to a nice seated position on your cushion. You don't have to sit cross-legged if you don't want to. This is my favorite version of cross-legs. You can sit in any version you want, any way of seated that feels good for you. You can even do this on a chair. A lot of people in my classes prefer butterfly. There's a halfway house between cross legs and legs stretched out. So butterfly would be soles of the feet together away from the body. So you make a big diamond shape with the legs. Right, so let's have some shoulder rolls. Nice tall spine, drawing the chin inwards and upwards. I like to let my hands just rest lightly on my knees. If you're a person who needs a little bit more sensory information, you could have your fingertips on your shoulders and then you move your elbows around in circles. So otherwise, keeping the hands resting on the knees, let's inhale to draw the shoulders up and back. Exhale down and forward. And don't overcook it, so just keep this very light and soft. There's no strain going into the upper back at all. And it's one whole breath for one whole movement. So don't worry about whether that breath matches up. And again, if you struggle with the breath synchronized side, just breathe freely and normally and enjoy the movement. Keep it really sinewy. Whatever that means. Really soft. When you're ready, you can switch. So inhaling up and back and up, exhaling down and forward, I think. You know what you're doing. Switch the movement and switch the breath. Remember, don't make those shoulder circles so big that the shoulders start to get tired. Warm is okay, tired is not necessary. And then when you've had enough, we're just going to stop. Have a wiggle if you want a wiggle. Let's take the left hand up and over the top of the head. You can rest the fingers just lightly above the ear. And then exhale to draw the head over to the the left. And we're just going to breathe, rest. If you find that it's uncomfortable to leave your hand on your head, you can just put it away, take it off, you don't need to. You can also wrap your opposite arm around your waist if that helps, or put it on the floor behind you. That can really help to relax the shoulder on the side that's extended. Don't forget to breathe, and when you're ready, on an inhale, we'll come back to center and switch sides. So we'll just let's take the left hand straight behind the body, if that's what you're doing today. And take the right hand up over the top of the head, just near the ear, and exhale to draw the head over to the right. And breathe. Very relaxed. Not pulling, so the hand that's on your head is not pulling, it's just a guide. Very nice. So when you're ready, we'll inhale to center and release. And we'll do a little bit of side stretching. So let's sit tall. I'm going to hands by the sides, fingertips on the ground, and we're going to start on the left side. So we want to keep the shoulders down and relaxed. On an exhale, let's draw the left hand across to the left, in line with the hip. Take the right hand up towards the ceiling. Which way you look is entirely your choice. So you can gaze up towards your thumbnail drishti. If you want to, drishti means gazing point. Or you can look down or forward, just whatever's comfortable for you. As you exhale more, you might just want to go all the way across. So if you can get your left forearm down to the ground, that's great. You don't have to go this far. Your right butt cheek wants to still be down. So if you're rocking your whole body over, it's pointless. You may as well stay high and enjoy the stretch. Right butt cheek, pinned to the floor, glued down. If you need someone to come in and push your right butt cheek down, go and get them. Pause, go and fetch them. You can extend that top arm so that the fingertips reach towards the left wall as much as you want. The harder you press from the waist, the harder you reach away, the deeper this sensation is going to be. If you want it to stay stretchy, then you can just relax that upper arm. You can even turn the palm up and rest the arm on your head like you are swooning, swooning at the sky. So you choose based on your mood in this particular moment. But the main thing is that your right butt cheek is pinned to the ground, and maybe you've got someone there sitting on you to make sure it's done. It's a really nice side stretch. When you're ready on an inhale, let's come back up to center. Do the other side. So we're going to slide this, start tall, and then slide the right hand across in line with the hip. Take the left hand up. Let's just pause here for a moment. We should have done this the first time around. We'll pause here simply by reaching your left hand up towards the ceiling. You have already extended the side line of your body. So you're in a side stretch. You don't need to go any further than this, especially if you're tired. If you're feeling like you want to go deeper, you can slide all the way across, and you can take your left hand across the ear and maybe reach all the way over to the right. Or you can relax the arm, rest it on the head, have a little swoon, whatever suits. Gaze whichever way suits you. Up beyond the armpit, and find that a little tight, although in photos people like to do that because it looks pretty, but actually on the whole, don't think it works that well, but for some people it must. I've got really big muscles in my arms, so there's not a lot of space there. Breathe. Feel that nice long line. So you're not pulling your arm out of your socket. This is all extension coming from the center of the waist up, center of the waist down. Remember, your left butt cheek should be on the floor. So if you told that person to leave, get them back in so that they can pin your left butt cheek back down on the ground. When you're ready on an inhale, come back up center. Yeah. Have a little wiggle if you need one. Feels good. I'm going to do a movement which is a little bit unusual for a lot of people. I'm going to give you two options just in case one of them is uncomfortable. I would say that if you can, do the one that, so we're going to do a thoracic movement, or you can do a hip movement. My suggestion would be to persevere with the thoracic one if you can. So the hip movement, the easier of the two, is to rest your hands lightly on your knees and just roll your body forward and back. So it's like you are moving your body around in the basin of your hips. And the further back you go, the deeper the movement will be, the more sensation. Exhaling back, inhaling forward. And you can do a few in each direction. The intention of the movement, so if this is impossible, you do that. What I want to do is a thoracic movement. So this movement comes from the rib cage, from the armpits down to the base of the rib cage. Hands are resting on the knees, and we're going to move the rib cage around in circles. And you can draw right the way back between the shoulder blades. There will be a little bit of movement in the hips for sure, but actually it's the upper body, it's this whole chest moving forward, moving back. And it's really nice movement for the thoracic spine. And when we move on to the next set of movements, starting with cat-cow, you'll see there's a similarity in the range of movement and the location of movement here. So just play with it, go back the other way. If you can, think of body poppers. So if you've ever watched body poppers, they do this a lot. It's a really sharp little movement, upper body, a little bit of micro muscle control. And if you're not used to it, trying to do it, practicing doing it, giving it a go, is going to bring you a little bit of, you can give your muscles a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of education. So it's really valuable. It feels really good between the shoulder blades as well. So one more, and then we'll come back to center. Enough of that. Practice, practice, practice with those sort of movements in yoga where you move the body in a way that you wouldn't normally. Lovely. So we are going to shift our seated position. I'm going to move away. I'm going to move my cushion away for a moment because I don't need it for this, but you might want it. We're just going to come to an upright seated position. My feet are just about hip distance apart. So remember, your hips are at the front of your body, not on the sides. Just about hip distance apart, and we're going to do seated cat-cow here. So just gently putting your hands, resting your hands underneath the thighs, just a loose position. And on an inhale, we're going to draw the shoulders back, chest forward, lift the chin slightly. Exhale to curl back. Inhale to lift. Exhale to roll back. So this is seated cat-cow. And the movement here is going from the tailbone all the way up to the top of the neck. So as you exhale to round your back, shoulders come forward, tailbone tips under. Inhale, tailbone tips back, chest comes forward, chin lifts. And holding on to the thighs is what helps the knees from buckling. And just enjoy the movement. Always, in cat-cow on the whole, you're always inhaling to open the chest and exhaling to close the chest. It's fairly intuitive. It's easy to say that when you've been doing it for years, but on the whole, when you are new to a practice, chest opens up to receive the breath and it closes to push the breath out. So body closes to take the breath out. One more. Spine should be feeling fairly good by now. I'm going to come to center and we're going to do a couple of light twists. So I like to raise my hands for twists. You don't have to. I'm going to bring my cushion back in because I want a tall spine. So I'm just going to sit on my cushion. Can you see how I wedge the cushion? I'm not fully up on it. Nice and tall. Inhale to reach the arms up. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to take my right hand around the outside of my left thigh. Left hand behind me, right up as close as I can. So I'm tall. And exhale, twist to the left. So waist turns, chest turns, shoulders turn, head only turns if the neck's okay with it, but it's always fine to put your head in line with your chest. So this is an upper body twist. Gentle. You should be able to remove your hands and not ping back to center. If you're pulling, if you're using your hands to lever yourself around, you don't need to go that far. It's not necessary. So just breathe. And when you're ready, on an inhale, we'll come to center. And we'll do the other side. So inhale, lift the arms, raise up, exhale. Left hand comes across the right thigh. Right hand just right up behind you. And we're twisting, twisting, twisting to the right. Waist, chest, shoulders. So quite a loose twist, this one. It's not very, very deep or tight. We've done loads of twists. So we don't need to worry about it being too tight. Just breathe here. And when you're ready, let's inhale back to center. Don't need the cushion for the next bit. I'm going to do a little bit of seated wipers. So you can rest on your hands. Doesn't matter, you can have your hands in any direction you want, whatever suits you. And have the feet a little bit wider, so I'm going to take them at least as wide as the mat. Wipers seated is the same as wipers lying down, just feels a bit nicer. So if you're feeling super lazy, you can come and recline on your elbows, that's also fine. And it's not lazy, it's just relaxed, isn't it? If you're honest, you might not get the same range of movement. So we're just going to roll the knees from side to side. Now, you can do this breath synchronized, absolutely. In fact, I was always taught to do it breath synchronized, but I actually like to just let my legs decide how quickly, and I just breathe. In fact, I don't breathe because I'm normally teaching it. So there's not much breathing involved when you're talking at the same time, unfortunately. But when I've done this practice on my own, I don't breath synchronize it because for me, I like the freedom of the movement. The breathing takes care of itself. So I like this because you do get that deeper twist. I am working to get my knees all the way over to the floor. You can see I'm rolling the hips right up. But you can adjust your legs to get that movement. And if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Don't try to make it. The other thing to keep in mind while we just continue, you will probably travel. When you first start for years and years and years, the mat travels or you travel on your mat. So you might move forward, you might move back. Lovely. When you are next over to the right, square up. If you can, bring your upper body up, bring your right foot across and your left leg out to the side. So if you're watching me, I'm not mirroring you. I have actually got my right foot across and my left foot out to the side. I'm going to switch so that I'm mirroring, but we're in deer pose now. If you can't do deer pose, stop. I will show you an alternative for this movement that we're doing next. So we're going to do half pigeon. Legs are here in deer pose. This is a glute stretch. So for those of you who are not doing this variation, it's figure of four lying on your back. If you know figure of four or reverse pigeon, then go ahead. Otherwise, I will show you. So we're going to start nice and tall, fingertips in front. You can put a little cushion underneath any butt cheek that's coming up if you need to. Keep the chest open, shoulders back, walk the hands forward just a little way. Keep reaching back with your tailbone. So this is not a slouch, no hunching up. Keep exhaling forward, just as far as you want to go. You can go as far as you want, but we want to rest down. So if you're quite high up, try to relax here. You could even have a pile of cushions. You could have some blocks under your head. You could have a bolster and rest on that. You can come all the way down, little by little, and rest in. So your upper body is in sleeping swan, and your lower body is in deer pose. We would call this half pigeon. Rest here. One of your hips is getting an opening, so that would be probably your left hip is having a nice hip opener. The right glute is getting stretched, but not too intensely, hopefully. Depends on your glutes. You can stay here as long as you want. If you find that the sensation keeps increasing, then you might want to come up a few times and then soften back down. Come up, soften down. You can just wave up and down. It can feel really good. Those of you who want to do the reverse variation, because that doesn't work for you, you just need to lie down on your back. Let's take the right ankle across the left thigh. Feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Right ankle across the left thigh. Just gently draw the right knee away from the body until that hip opens up a little bit. Your right hip just needs to open a little bit, and you could stay right here if you wanted to. If you've got a little space for a stretch, you could pick up your left foot, weave your fingers around the back of the thigh and gently squeeze in, and you should start to feel a sensation around the outside of your right butt cheek. It's a very butt cheek heavy class, this one. Or maybe it's a class full of heavy butt cheeks. What do you reckon? Both? Probably both. Love a heavy butt cheek. So squeeze in with that left knee. And just rest here. That's enough. That is all you need to do. So whether you're in half pigeon or reverse pigeon, give yourself enough breaths that you start to just feel fairly comfortable, or that you feel that you've had enough sensation for now. Whatever makes sense for you. And then we need to swap sides. So take as long as you need. I'm going to swap sides here. So now left foot in front, right foot out to the side, or left ankle across right thigh. Don't forget to press that left knee away first, just to open the hip a little bit before you bring the right knee in. Let's sit tall in deer pose. On an exhale, this is ever so important to get this right. So no crunching up. Upper body comes forward nice and long, leading with chest, chin. No curling of the spine. Just have your hands on the floor. See where you get to. Grab a support if you need to. Just rest here. It's reasonably straightforward to just rest in this position with your hands down. You can bow your head and relax at that point. Or you can just keep walking your hands forward until you come down to a comfortable position, which might be forearms, it might be flat on the floor. And now we are looking for maybe a gentle bit of opening on the right hip, and your glute stretch is gently on the left. And the reality of the situation is that the people who are doing figure of four will be getting a
stronger glute stretch. And the people who are doing reverse, this pigeon, half pigeon, you're getting just a tiny bit more of a hip opener. But to be honest, it's okay, it's fine. We want the glutes, more than anything, we want that glute stretch. A little bit more breathing. I find in deer pose, here in the half pigeon and deer pose, I find that the glute stretch is more manageable and it builds in a manageable way for me. I love pigeon, but it's not always a moderate sensation. When you're ready, coming up, inhale, lift the head, walk hands back in.
Slowly make your way back up to center. And we are going to do something insane. So we're going to do a cow face pose. Such a gorgeous name. I'm going to show you the legs. The purpose actually for this is more the arms. I'm going to show you the legs because I don't normally do them. It's just too intense to do the arms and the legs. But some of you, especially, well, some of you are going to love the legs. There are some people in my class who do it because it just really depends on how, well, it just depends on the size of your thighs. I mean, if you've got juicy thighs, then this is not, it's not going to feel great. Or maybe it will. Tell me, or don't, it doesn't matter. Let's wrap the right leg around underneath the left leg. So you're seated, you're wrapping your right leg underneath your left leg. It's a little bit like Lord of the Fishes. Pick up your left leg, take it over the top and wrap the left leg around as well. So your knees are stacked. You can't see it that clearly because I wear dark clothes, so it's hard to see anything. It's real professionalism on my part. So yeah, basically your knees are supposed to be stacked and your legs are now wrapped around each other. I can do it, but it doesn't feel good. And it didn't feel good because I've always had really, really, really muscular thighs. So this is never going to work for me. If you've got more of a slender frame, then it might work really well, but there must be no pain in your hips at all or your ankles. If you do this, then you're going to get a glute stretch as well. For me, it's always going to be kneeling or kneeling up. And I normally end up kneeling up, actually. So I need to demonstrate the arms. So if you're in your legs, stay in your legs. Hope you grabbed your strap, because otherwise you're going to have to untangle yourself and knot yourself up again, which is a very yoga thing to do. You get yourself all tied up in knots and then realise that you haven't got your kit near you. So shoulder stretch. Left hand out to the side, palm facing upwards with the thumb pointing behind you. Your strap is resting with the long end behind. And that hand is going to turn forwards. So now the palm is, once you've got your strap in your hand, the palm's facing in the same direction as you are with the thumb pointing up. The other hand stretches out with the thumb pointing down, palm behind you. So this is what you do. Take your left hand up and over. You can just watch. The strap is now dangling down your back. The other hand comes down and under so that the palm's pointing away, thumb pointing up. Take hold of the strap and then walk those hands towards each other. Keep the chest open, so no hunching up. Walk your hands down the strap until you've got a reasonable stretch. Most people on one side have really good mobility or really a higher mobility than the other side. Most people will be holding onto the strap. If you find that your hands meet, you can weave the fingers together. And there you go. And the point is here, nice open front of the body, tricep. So you wouldn't do this if you had, you wouldn't be able to do this if you had a rotator cuff injury, but you wouldn't bother. It's a tricep stretch. It's a shoulder stretch. It's pretty intense. If there's any discomfort, leave it out. Some things are more important to leave out than others. So just see how you go. Hold it. And when you are ready to release, release gently. So just untangle yourself, because we've created a lot of torque. It's compression and release, this one. and then release the arms. Have a little shake. Little shake. Let's do the other side. Right hand. Straps in the right hand, long edge dangling back behind you. Then turn the palms facing forward. So you've got hold of that strap, the thumb's holding it down. Left hand out to the side, palm facing down. Take the right hand up and over, left hand down and up. Hold onto the strap with both arms. Walk them in. Now, watch. Mobility on this side is different. I do not have the same range of mobility on this side. It's improved actually over the weeks as I've been doing this. So I can just hold onto the strap here. As I breathe, it might release a little bit. It might. Sometimes, let's see, yes. Sometimes I can just about, get hold of a couple of fingers. And I like to do that because it just frees me up from the strap. And then we go with hold, no hunching up. No hunching up, cow face pose. And breathe. And when you're ready to release it, gently untangle yourself. Have a wiggle. Really just roll those shoulders around a bit. Maybe shake off the arms. Just notice how that feels, because it's pretty intense. And if you want to do it again, you just need to check in. Have you gone in too hard? So just be gentle. It's a bit of fun. It's not yoga if you don't get to tie yourself in a weird knot at some point, is it? It is, of course it is, but now and then it's nice to bust out a weird knot. Going back to the cushion, we're going to do some forward folds. I'll tell you what it's not. Yoga is not yoga if you don't have lots and lots of forward folds. So that's what we're going to do. Dragonfly. Let's lengthen. I'm still sitting on the cushion at this point. Lengthen out the left leg, tuck in the right leg. If you need a little something rolled up underneath your knee for your hamstrings, if you feel any pulling around the knee or the butt cheek, the sitting bone, you can put a little bend in the knee or have something underneath that knee. That'll sort you out. We're going to sit nice and tall. We're going to keep the left toes pointing up. And you have an option now. You can reach up if you want to. And imagine there's a beach ball just resting in front of your belly, and you're going to reach over the beach ball. That's one way to do it. Or you can walk your hands forward and lengthen through the spine. So the chest is coming forwards. There is no slouching in my back at all right now. It's all really long and open. As soon as you get as far as you can, folding from the hips, that's where you stop. And that's where you can relax your head and relax your shoulders. Just to be really clear, let's go back to talking about thighs. You do not have to fold over your leg. You can fold on the inside of your leg. So I prefer to fold on the inside of the leg because I need space to come forward. If you're, again, if you have a slight build, some people like to go over the top of the leg. I'm not really sure why you would prefer that, but people do. So walking forward, lengthening forward from the hips, nice and long. Right, so this is where we have some deepening options. Those of you who are a little higher up, softer, you've gone as far as you can, you've released, it's fine, stay where you are. Don't use your hands to pull yourself forward. Those of you who want a deepening option, because you have a deep forward fold, maybe you have long hamstrings, you can take hold of your big toe with your fingers. So the left big toe, left fingers, and gently use your elbow on the inside of your calf to draw yourself forward. A little bit forward, a little bit forward. Now, if it's cold in the room, even if you normally do this, you might not want to because you're not really warm enough for it. So there you go, that's a deepening option. You can just breathe. Actually, when I'm in this variation with my hand around the foot, Rather than doing the fancy yoga thing of holding the toes, I quite like to hug my toes with my hand because they get cold. So I just need someone to hug my toes for me, so I'll hug them for myself. Nice warm feet. And so what we've got here is a forward fold, so the sensation in backs of the hips, also the back of the left leg. I'm just going to breathe one more breath here. You can stay longer if you wish, but we're going to go to the side in a minute. On an inhale, lift the head, gently walk the hands back in, and take the leg out to the side. Just a bit. Now we're going to turn the upper body over to the left. So we're facing that extended leg. And quite often when I take the leg out to the side, I take it too far and it feels really bad on my left hip. So you might need to bring it in a little bit. Just make your adjustments. Again, you can fold over the leg, you can fold on the inside of the leg. It just depends on how your body is made, whether you need more space or not. So you choose. On an exhale, reaching forward from the chest. So not slouching at all. Walk your way down, go as far as is comfortable for you. Settle in, chill, enjoy. You can relax your shoulders, you can relax your head. Now, if you've got long enough arms or short enough legs, you might be able to take hold of your big toe again. Let's look at something else for the people who want that extra variation. This is not so much a restful as a deep, quite fiery. This is more of a yang style movement than a yin one, which the forward fold is more yin. So you take hold of your big toe or wrap your hand around your toes. Put your elbow on the inside of your calf, just as we did before. You can then wrap your your right hand around your waist and draw your right shoulder back and maybe gaze up. And guys, it's a really deep, there's a bind there. You might even, I can't do it, but you might be able to get your right hand to rest on your left thigh. No, but some people can. It's quite nice if you can. Shoulder drawing back, chest open, gazing up. Guys, if you have instability in your lower back, you're not doing this. Don't even try. Don't even try. It's a really, really lovely sensation. And I'm gazing up because it feels right, but you can gaze in any direction you want. Breathe here. This is definitely a fierier posture. There's a lot of sensation here. So if that's what you're needing, this is going to work for you. If you're wanting something more like a hug, you're just going to stay in that forward fold. Lovely. Let's go for one more breath. Stay as long as you want, as always. This one, the variation I'm in, you really don't need to stay very long. On an inhale. Oh, yeah. Walk your way back up. Whew, mama. Yeah, that feels good. Let's lengthen out the right leg. See, I feel so much more chill after doing most of this class, and I'm teaching it and I still feel loads better. So we're going to extend the right leg, tuck in the left leg. Ready for the forward fold again. So choose the inside. If you've got one really huge leg and one really puny leg, some people do. Maybe you want to go over the top this side. You choose. Walk your hands forward and make your way into your fold. Remember, your fold is about the hips reaching back, spine really long, shoulders relaxed. You come down, folding from the hips until your hips will not do it anymore. And then you relax your upper body and you don't go any further down. The intention here is not to come down to the ground. The ground is filthy. There's no need. It's not that filthy. I've cleaned this place, but I can't seem to keep it dust-free for more than 30 seconds at a time. If you want to deepen, remember you can hug your toes or hook your two fingers. If you want to be yogi, you can hug your fingers around your big toe. Use your elbow to press gently into your calf, not knee, and then reach forward. One of the things that's quite nice about this, if you are a person who has a deep forward fold, is that when we're practicing at home, you don't have the opportunity to be in the classroom with a teacher. And if you've got a teacher who normally does physical adjustments, then you may have a teacher who would help you deepen this posture just by pressing on your lower back gently. Now, it's not actually, it's not an adjustment that I ever do or an assist that I ever give. I'm actually not a fan of physical assists or adjustments when it comes to deepening. Sometimes maybe, but you know, and while we're talking about it, you should never allow someone to touch you unless you've given them consent in a yoga class. So consent cards, demand them. Just need to slide in a little bit of ethics for you there. Nothing if not value added yoga. When you're ready, on an inhale, walk your hands back in. It's gone wild. Rotate, take the leg out to the side, rotate to the right, and then make your way forward. So you can use your fingers. You could even use a strap to do this. Reach forward. See how you feel. Might not be the same on this side as the other side. Hinging from the hips and just enjoying that stretch. Your stretch is going to be a little bit more around the hips for this one. If you're down there and you want that deeper variation, I don't know what it's called. Right fingers wrap around the right big toe. You can put your elbow just on the inside of the calf. Wrap your left hand around your waist, and you need to not keep slouching. At this point, you open up. So you draw your left shoulder back and up. Chest opens up and you're gazing probably towards the ceiling. And it just depends on how long your arm is, how bendy your shoulder is, how small your waist is, how big your thigh is. You might be able to just see my fingers poking on the sides, but no. And if you remember when we did cow face pose, that is the shoulder with the lesser mobility. So my twist here is not as deep as my twist on the other side was. Breathing wherever you are. You never try to copy shapes. It's always about sensation. So forward fold, it's the back of the leg, and in this one, it's the top of the hip as well. So it's the top of the left hip should have a strong sensation. When you're ready on an inhale, let's come back to center. Ooh, feels good. Release, rest. And we've got 2 or optionally 3 postures to finish off. Really nice ones. I think you're going to enjoy them. So, first of all, melting heart. If you would prefer child's pose, it's fine. Child's pose is always allowed. Always. Any variation of child's pose. Otherwise, let's come to kneeling, sort of roughly, or 4s. You can keep the hips above the knees if possible, but the bum's going to stay in the air. You can tuck your toes if you want, it's your choice. Just slide your hands forward, bring the chest down towards the ground, bring the forehead down towards the ground. Yeah, melting heart. Turn your head if you want to. It's quite strong on the shoulders. If it's not strong enough, you can bring your hands into little cages. My teacher used to say it's like you're guarding a couple of cupcakes. And, and then with the palms lifted, and then let your head sink down, and that's going to deepen your shoulder stretch. And surprisingly, that feels pretty good actually. I normally really don't like this one. Melting heart. Just feel the spine lengthen. Just a little bit of a back bend there, the way I do it. I like the back bend. Nice and chill. Now, stay where you are. If you're all right, I'm going to give you the option for an inversion, which is the equivalent of a headstand without doing a headstand. Rabbit pose. And I'm not going to do the fullest expression of rabbit pose because, well, when I say fullest expression, I mean the one that if you Googled it, you'll see the pictures. It's not the fullest expression, it is an expression. Because my arm's not long enough, frankly. So we're at melting heart. And toes can be tucked if you want them to. I'm just going to walk my hands back. So they're now underneath my shoulders. And I'm going to walk
Just going to slide my head back a little bit as well. So my chin is drawing in towards my chest. I'm just going to roll my head onto the crown of the head. Neck still feels really long. Shoulders are drawing back and down. Hands are under the shoulders. Hips over the knees. This is a headstand without doing a headstand. And you're just going to breathe here. So a lot of people, I guess if you have the right proportions, you can walk your knees in if it feels all right on your neck, and then reach back with your hands and hold on to your heels. But my leg, I think you have to have the right proportions. My arms are sort of proportionally shorter than my legs, so I can't quite reach, and it ends up straining my neck. So I just stay here. Enjoy it and breathe. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel good, what should you not be doing? If it doesn't feel good, you shouldn't be doing rabbit pose. You should be in child's pose. And when you're ready, let's roll back. So I'm just going to take knees out wide, roll back, stretch the arms out. Yeah, child's pose. And haven't we earned it? Rest here. Any variation of child's pose you want. Your hips are definitely warm enough by now for a reasonably wide-legged child's pose. If you've got fairly mobile hips anyway, you're going to probably enjoy a very deep wide-legged child's pose. And just breathe. And when you're ready, if you're ready to, you have two options. You can make your way out of child's pose and prepare for relaxation. If you're a fan of downward facing dog, and I do mean a fan, this is a really nice time to take one because the whole body has been fully primed, and you're just going to get a chance to feel what it's like to do a downward facing dog at the end of a practice when you've oiled all the joints and you've warmed up all the muscles and actually generally feeling quite limber. So this is just for the fans. Tuck toes, reach back towards the heels, spread the fingers, put that weight into the knuckles, finger pads, outer edges of the palms, little lift around the waist, wrists. Inhale to square up, exhale to lift the knees up and back. And even though normally in your first, and in this case last downward facing dog, you would leave your knees bent, and you can at this point, absolutely you can, but you might not need to because the legs are really well stretched. So just see how you feel, pedal it out, or you can pedal if you want to, but my experience of doing this class virtually every day in my personal practice and teaching it regularly is that by the end of it, I am ready for just some stillness. And when you are ready, bring those knees down and make your way towards your relaxation position. Make sure you're warm enough because you will cool down. You need to be nice and comfortable. Blankets, sleeping bags, hot water bottles, socks, hats. I mean, you might as well just get your Arctic climbing gear out. Everything you can think of, wrap yourself up. We're going to finish the practice as we started it with that embodiment process. If you didn't like it the first time, it's unlikely that you'll like it the second time, depending on your reasons. But you can just rest. It is important to rest. And anytime you start to feel uncomfortable or something feels wrong
in the practice, in your position, stop. Just stop. If you're not taking part in the embodiment process, then instead, just enjoy the feeling of the ground, breathe, allow your eyes to rest. You might not have them closed, but just allow your body to take in all of the work that we've done. It's giving your body time to take it in. Also the mind, also the emotions, the whole package. So making sure you're comfortable. Taking the attention to the back of the body and very lightly and intuitively starting to follow the waves and the curves of the back of the body and whatever it's connected to. You're lying on the ground with the feeling of the body connecting with the ground and then curving away. And feeling that space in between when you curve away from the ground, that shape, the negative space. And just taking an interest in those waves and curves. The feeling of connection, the feeling of lifting away. As you follow that journey, if any particular sensations catch your attention, then feel free to pause and take your attention towards them with kindness, with curiosity, with openness. Just being gentle and exploring, not trying to change anything, just exploring the sensation. And make space for good sensation. So it might be the thing that catches your attention is comfort, is flow, is softness, is rest. Make sure there's space to notice those sensations too. And if you'd like to, if you feel it's the right thing for you, then you can take that process to the front of the body. So always all right to stay with the back of the body if you're enjoying the feeling of being held by the ground. But if you want to, you can come to the front of the body and the same process, just start to follow the curves and the shapes of the front of the body in space. So resting here, and that attention is internal. So you're just following the lovely shapes that your body is making, how the body connects to the space around you. And no judgment here, it's all your own perception. See if you can bring a little bit of softness to the belly, to the thighs, maybe the chest and the waist. If any of this is uncomfortable, you do not do it. If it's too hard to soften from the center of the body, try just relaxing the hands. Try relaxing the toes and the feet. Maybe see if you can soften the eyebrows. Just relax the face. And little by little, if you can allow the body to become softer and softer and heavier, maybe start to feel any remaining tension literally just pouring off the body into the safe ground. Maybe you'll start to get that feeling that your body is made out of piles and piles of billowing candy floss, just dissolving into the air. Or maybe you want them to be fluffy clouds on a summer's day. Whatever it is for you, something substantial on the ground, insubstantial on the front, in the air. And if you want to stay here in your relaxation just a little longer, scan through the whole body and see if you can notice any particular source of flow, movement, maybe release, freedom, could be softness. Where is there life here? Just look for that feeling of life. Could be in the breath. Just see if it's there, be open to it. Everybody has something, but you can't always find it. So don't go hunting, just be open for it. And if you can find it, even if it's just something that is perfectly neutral, something that just is never a bother. Earlobes. Rest and experience that feeling of either freedom, comfort, or neutrality. How nice it is to center our focus on something that is either nourishing or neutral, non-harming. Savor that feeling. And you can stay in your relaxation as long as you like. So if you would like to come out of your relaxation, you always start with small movements near the fingers and the toes. And then move inwards towards the body gently and very carefully. Do not want to jar the body and undo all the work that we've done. So maybe turn the head from side to side. Have a little wiggle. See if you need a stretch. If you do, make it intentional, ease into it, enjoy it, take your time. And then when you've had your stretch, allow yourself at least a couple of breaths. Lying on your side, you can use your hands or your arms, pillow for your head if you haven't got a cushioned hand. Just allow yourself that time to emerge slowly out of Shavasana. And when you are ready to, you can come towards a seated position. If you'd like to seal the practice with me, just going to sit tall and we're going to ground. We're going to seal the grounding practice. So put the fingertips on the floor just behind you, press the fingers down, roll the shoulders back, inhale, lift your heart, lift your chin. Exhale down. Inhale, gently circle the arms up towards the ceiling, bring the fingertips together at the top. And exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that practice. I love it.